Tom Curran's Patriots Talk podcast is presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into Tom Curran's Patriots Talk podcast featuring Phil A. Perry. Very simple. We're going to get into the quarterback situation today in depth, currently and going forward. So, Phil, as you and I both were able to separately report yesterday, no decision as of Wednesday on the quarterback. Patriots have now vacated the premises and headed out on their bye week. We don't know. We might know by the time this hits your inbox whether the Patriots have named a starter for next week, or we might not find out until next week. But why would Mac Jones be taking starter reps on Wednesday, or at least not even reps? Why would he be the first man up during that grab-ass practice Wednesday?
Tom, I think he's taking first team reps because this is just business as usual. If they haven't made a decision yet, which, as you said, that's what we had been told, then how else are you going to go about it? You know, Mac Jones is the first quarterback up. He's going to work with David Andrews. He's going to work with the other starters, and they're going to go about their business from there. I think there's a chance they stick with it, though. And that is what's surprising to me, because I think when we all saw Mac Jones get benched at the end of that Colts game, we said, okay, well, this is a decision not only for the 2-minute drill, this is a decision for this team and for Bill Belichick that could hold for the foreseeable future. And what I've been told by people in the building there is, hey, if Bill thinks that Mac Jones is going to give them the best chance to win, and he might feel that way based on what else is in the quarterback's room, he's going to play against the Giants. And that is still a little bit surprising to me.
And we have a long line of folks, whether it's Jason McCourty earlier this week speaking to us, whether it's myriad former Patriots, whether it's reporters like us who cover the team regularly, whether it's the normal fan who look at the situation so you can't go back to him. Bill, again, in the minority. Bill, so often in the minority when it comes to decision-making on quarterbacks. Just does things that don't seem to make rational sense. And then you defer because he's the greatest coach of all time. And then you see that was as bad as I thought it might be. I will say this. As I mentioned, Jason McCourty, just to clarify something from me, earlier this week, I was on with Rich Eisen, and he said, how do you see this playing out, Tom? I said, well, almost certainly Mac Jones will be out of the starting position, most likely be third string, so you get Will Grier reps, and Bailey Zappe will be the 2. That was full no intel spitballing with Rich, which is what we are asked to do with the amount of time we fill. It kind of got aggregated, and our friend Dove Kleiman tried to couch it on Twitter as a speculative guess by me. Got repurposed. I saw on Bleacher Report as Tom Curran says Mac benched, Will Grier will start. I know nothing. When I know stuff, I let you know. That cleared up. Would Bill be riding with Mac in this situation because he understands if Bailey Zappe goes out there and goes 8 for 31 and they don't score again, it only does more to sully Bill's reputation going forward to the next job? I mean, that's I thought of that today. We all understand, well, they want to win as many games as they can for the culture and for all the other reasons, but Bill also doesn't want to see the team finish 2-15 and say, who wants to hire me?
And that's why the position that he's left himself in at this position is so confounding. Tom, they went into the season with one quarterback on the 53-man roster, and it wasn't Tom Brady. It wasn't a perennial Pro Bowler. It wasn't a guy who's ever made an All-Pro team. It was Mac Jones, who we still had plenty of questions about going into year 3 after a very dicey year 2 with a strange coaching staff setup. And so it wasn't as if he had answered every question and you just felt as though as long as this guy's healthy, we're going to be fine. There were plenty of unknowns surrounding this player, and yet still you went into the year, the most important position on the field, with one guy. And now you have Bailey Zappe and Will Grier and guys that have been cut other places and guys that have been here now for, in Zappe's case, well over a year, in Grier's case, for months. And you might not feel strongly enough about either one of them to replace a guy who clearly needs a break. And that to me comes back to Bill. So if he doesn't want that on his resume, Bailey Zappe going 3 for 12 and having to run the ball 45 times against the Giants in a couple of weeks, you had to do more before the season began.
It's insane. And, again, Slappy's like me watching the last preseason game saying, you can't put him out there. He can't be your backup for a playoff hopeful team because he's not good enough. And yet they did. And yet he is not good enough. And the Patriots have now cycled, folks, they've gone through 7 quarterbacks this year who have been in that quarterback room. Trace McSorley, Bailey Zappe, Mac Jones, who's a dude now, Will Grier, Ian Book, Matt Corral, and Malik Cunningham, who no one screams for anymore. I mean, 4 weeks ago, it was a start Malik or not. What a chaotic situation that Bill Belichick has authored at the most important position in sports. Hands down, bar none. And it harkens back to the reporting that was done by Seth Wickersham and in his book, It's Better to Be Feared, that Bill and some of the Patriots coaches had come to believe the quarterback was an interchangeable position. And guys like me got conned into it a little bit too. A little bit, not completely. Big Brady guy, as many know. But there is a notion of you just put things around someone and they'll be fine. Well, the Patriots did neither. And they also weren't able to pick decent enough quarterbacks to man the position. They got to have limits, Phil. You got to be 6'2" or above from now on and be able to throw a baseball over 84.
I like that. So don't even worry about the MPH or the RPMs with the football. Just get a baseball in your hand. You got to be able to bring it 84 miles an hour.
Yep. They should have that at the combine for the quarterbacks.
Just set it up like one of those carnival games. No, just don't even have a glove out. Just let the guy throw it as hard as he can from 60 feet, 6 inches away.
Yeah.
Into a big rubber mat.
No, I'm not going to watch the accuracy anymore. I don't need Greg Maddux. Frank Tanana, late style Frank Tanana.
Tom, can I ask you a question?
Yes, please.
In terms of Bill's thought process here, is there any chance, even if he understands, man, Bailey Zappe's not that good. Man, Will Grier's not that good. Boy, I should have done more at this position to start the year. Is there any chance he looks at it and says, however, despite those guys being as lacking as they are in terms of physical skill set and whatever else you need to excel at that position, a change in energy would do everybody else some good. And so when they step into the huddle and they see a different face, you might actually get more out of the other players around the quarterback position. The quarterback himself might not be as talented, but overall the team may be better off just by making a change. Do you think that's part of the equation for Bill potentially?
I think that it could and should be part of the equation. You get a bump from the guy, comes off the bench in an NBA game who hasn't been out there, and all of a sudden, energy guy. You don't want to start him. Can't play him for 48 minutes. There is something to be said for how the Patriots performed in Green Bay last year when Bailey Zappe came out there. Now, excepting Isaiah Wynn, who on the first 2 snaps of Bailey Zappe coming in the shadow of his own end zone was able to take penalties. This team. But yes, I do think that there could be an injection of enthusiasm and even interest, capturing the interest of the offense. So it's not the same movie. Oh, I know what Mac does in this situation. I don't know what Bailey's going to do. Maybe he'll throw it to me. Oh, Bailey's flat on his back too. But I wonder too about losing the locker room in that angle. Is it as important as we sometimes think? Andrew Callahan from the Herald reporting this week that I believe the stat was 80% of the locker room. And I know from folks I've spoken to in, the higher reaches of the organization, they don't dislike Mac. They just think things might be at an end here. So do you lose the locker room? Or is that even really capable of happening?
I think it is. I think there's a belief factor that matters, right, among his teammates. But
You're
Tom,
right.
I think it's probably been gone or waning to a significant degree for over a month now. I think that's just how bad it was.
Since New Orleans or since Dallas? Probably since Dallas.
I think since Dallas. I remember talking to people since Dallas, and it was essentially a shrug of the shoulders. We are what we are at that position. Might as well I mean, there were people in the building, Tom, not screaming for Malik Cunningham, but essentially saying, oh, what do we have to lose? What do we have to lose? Let's get him out there and see what he can do. Maybe he could at least create for us a little bit. Our offensive line's a mess. And I think that showed up time and again in Indy. And maybe this plays into our conversation later about what's coming at that position. But it just was so clear to me, even though the pressure was ridiculous, pressure can get ridiculous at times for quarterbacks in this league. And you have to have that tool in your tool belt to be able to elude it. And Mac Jones hasn't been able to do that consistently this year.
Yeah. What's interesting is he took 5 sacks in the first half. Game was ruined as far as you are for the playing quarterback position for Mac Jones. You've gone down 5 times. I don't know if any of those, Phil, in looking at it, were held it too long kind of sacks. Were there?
No, I would put them all on the offensive line, but I also would say this. If you had another quarterback with a little bit more athleticism, there might have been 2 or 3 that kind of player would have been able to get out of.
He is inept at stepping up. Have you ever seen him up in the pocket? Now, maybe pressure's in the middle, but it can't always be pressure in the middle. When he sees pressure, his back goes down, his legs get into an athletic stance, and he starts scurrying and covering the ball. I would look like an armadillo. So I'm not saying it's not a toughness thing, but he doesn't have the tool to pitter patter, jump forward, jump stop, square up, get out. So that being the case, I don't know what the observation is, except for the fact that those 5 sacks, he should have had a 12-sack game. Should just have a 12-sack game, Mac. Don't panic. Just take your medicine. And when he didn't hit Demario Douglas, didn't take his medicine, flipped it out to Ramondre Stevenson, nearly got picked, and then got himself torn a brand new one on the sideline. That's when I think all of that makes it so hard to look at that just 4 days ago and say they're going to trot him back out there. But he
really does. But Tom, but if you're looking at it, and this is what we're getting at. Boy, Bailey Zappe just threw it in the middle of a team meeting in a gotta have it situation. And maybe you just explain it away. Well, he's cold and we asked him to come in the 2-minute drill, and that's a ridiculous ask in the first place. But I don't know if it's been much better in practice with the reps he's been given. He probably hasn't seen all that many reps. In fact, I know he hasn't seen all that many reps. Will Grier has seen even fewer. And so people I've spoken to, when I ask about Grier, it's almost like he's not even part of the conversation. I'm not saying that he won't be a part of the conversation whenever they decide on who's playing quarterback for them next moving forward between Bill Belichick and Bill O'Brien. But I don't think there are a lot of people in the organization that are pining for Will Grier at this point either. And so as bad as that particular play was, and just watching that one back, Tom, I think not only could he have hit Pop Douglas, which you and I said in real time for a first down, I believe it was third and 3. He could have had Hunter Henry over the middle because the linebacker was kind of sucking up in the middle.
I saw him go like that.
He was open in the middle. Tom, even Juju Smith-Schuster, I think, might have been open for a touchdown on the outside. And Mac alluded to it after the game. He said, I had a lot of guys I could have thrown to there.
Stevenson was open in the flat immediately. Yeah. And not just, hey, nobody's next to him. Nobody was within 15 yards of him. It was a swing pass.
Yeah. So I wonder just how firmly a play like that sticks in the minds. Aside, the interception obviously was bad, and obviously that stays with you. But even another one, it goes down in the books as an incomplete pass. But Bill O'Brien, I could see him looking at that and saying, we had 4 guys open on this play, and we somehow ended up with a near pick on a bucket shot free throw.
4 guys open, and then 1 guy completely wide ass open in the end zone to take the lead in the final minute, and you missed them all. Is it a signal that the Patriots and Bill Belichick are somehow raising the white flag if they don't put somebody in instead of Mac?
Are they tanking if they play Mac Jones?
Yeah, it's a weird dynamic, isn't it?
It is.
We're so bad it doesn't matter. I know that he's done things that make him bench worthy, but I'm not going to do it. We're going to leave him out there. I mean, what else are we going to do? This whole what else are we going to do? I've been writing It Is What It Is, to close about 15 stories in the last 5 weeks, thinking I was cute, but it's not cute anymore. It is what it is. So you're just sitting there going, watching the house burn from the sidewalk. What are we going to do?
It's that feeling of resignation that's been there, I feel like, really since the middle of last season. And it hasn't gone away. They are what they are. And I wonder, Tom, if there is some small part of Bill Belichick, although I'm not sure he would care about this, because he may know he's not going to be here next year. But if I'm ownership, if I'm Bill O'Brien, who I do think is going to be around next year, if I'm those individuals, I'm looking at Mac Jones and saying, boy, is there even a 3% chance he gets it somewhat turned around in the second half of the year here and he improves his trade value?
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody's trading for Bailey Zappe or giving us anything significant for him. Nobody's trading for Will Grier. If we know those guys aren't part of our future, what's the point? Let's play Mac, see if he can work his way out of it, see if our offensive line can all of a sudden flip a switch and become a Pro Bowl caliber line. And if he can put something together in the last several weeks here, maybe we can get a, fifth round pick for the guy?
Yeah, 4th or 5th. It's a 1-year rental.
Right.
So I don't think the Patriots are picking up the 5th-year option.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm just joking.
But that was a discussion not that long ago, though.
No, I know. And then he's not as bad as he's played. I will say that. Will Mac Jones win a playoff game in the NFL?
I'm going to say yes.
I also agree with that.
What if he goes to the Browns? And I know Gronk was bringing that up, and I don't.
That wasn't horrible. That was not a bad idea by Gronk.
Listen, Gronk was the
just release me and stuff, and I'll just head out there. Come on.
Gronk might have done that in the latter stages of Gronk's career. He was a player empowerment guy. Hey, if you try to trade me, I'll just retire. So you can do whatever you want, but I might just walk out the building. I wonder if he landed with a team like that, or as a backup in Miami, or as a backup in San Francisco, and then something happens. I could completely see him going on a nice run.
I wonder if a team can release a player like Mac Jones after the trade deadline, but agree with the Browns on a handshake deal that next year when the trade window reopens, the Browns send the Patriots like a 4th rounder for cash considerations of $50,000.
I that's got to be illegal. But I like where
I
your
like,
head's at, but it can't be.
I like that move. Patriots have traded Calvin Munson for a 4th round pick to the
Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use, there's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/NSBO and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. 21 plus and present in Massachusetts. Hope is here. First online real money wager only. $5 pregame moneyline wager required. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling helpline ma.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com or call 1-800-GAM-1234.
All right, this is the good stuff, folks. Phil did a great job. He talked to Mike Renner from Pro Football Focus, formerly and now of where's Mike now, Mike Phil?
He's at The Messenger, and he's got a great podcast, Renner Ranks, on the Locked On Network.
Okay, and Mike is full-on football draft expert, and he is, as one might imagine, eyeballs deep on the quarterback class. Here is Phil and Mike Renner on the Next Pats podcast. We got some crossover opportunities here. Speaking about the quarterback class as it stands right now, in the Patriots with the 3rd overall pick and a head-to-head match with the Giants, who hold the 2nd overall pick coming up. Let's listen to Mike on what the Patriots might want to do at the top of the draft if they end up in the first 2.
Who's your #1 guy right now?
I have North Carolina's Drake May as the #1 quarterback in this draft class. But I'm also the opinion of pick #1 and pick #2 are lottery tickets in this class. Drake May, and Caleb Williams from USC are elite, top end, Joe Burrow-esque, Trevor Lawrence-esque, like guys that if they missed in the NFL, it would be wildly surprising with how good their tape is at the collegiate level.
Say the Patriots are picking at 3, which they are right now. May and Williams are gone. Patriots fans are devastated.
I think it's Marvin Harrison. If you have the number 3 overall pick, those 2 quarterbacks are off the board. One, because he's such a sure thing. He's already, he'll probably hit the NFL and be a top 10 receiver in the NFL like day one. Like that's how good his tape is at Ohio State. It's how physically talented that guy is. And it's, you've seen that that's almost a prerequisite in the NFL. Like you can't just have the one, right? We're seeing it with Bryce Young. You can't just have quarterback nowadays and expect that gives you the high end offense. You need both. And so that gives you kind of that sure thing. And then in this class, especially, and it's going to obviously depend on who ends up declaring, who all comes out. But there's so many guys I like in the day 2 range that is just such less risk, so many lower stakes, but they're still very talented. Whether it's like maybe Quinn Ewers still comes out, the Texas quarterback, sees the writing on the wall with Arch Manning there, comes out to the draft. There's just a ton of guys who feel like they're talented enough to be first rounders for whatever reason. I wouldn't put them in that discussion just yet. But if they're there at the top of the second round, kind of like Will Levis last year, and we're seeing it with him. So like you take that chance, much lower risk. And we're seeing a lot more quarterback talent, whether it's in later rounds in the NFL, whether it's Sam Howell, whether it's Brock Purdy. Quarterback talent is hitting the NFL, like able to still operate some of these offenses and doesn't have to be a first round pick.
All right, that quote from Mike brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Phil, does it come down to May versus Williams? Can the Patriots go to another position even if they have a first or second overall pick?
I think if you got one of those first 2, you have to end up with one of those players.
They're that good.
I think they're that good.
Because we saw Zach, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm gun shy. I saw Zach Wilson and Trey Lance just go 3 years ago in the top 3, and both of them are trash heaps, trash cans. As players so far, not as humans. So,
thank you for that. Just appreciate that clarification. But Tom, you can't pass on what might be a franchise quarterback, even if you think it's only a might be. Right? Nobody, very, very few, not nobody. Peyton Manning was pretty much a sure thing. Andrew Luck was pretty much a sure thing. Tom, people thought Trevor Lawrence was a sure thing. Do you think Trevor Lawrence is a sure thing as a franchise quarterback now 3 years in? Because I don't. I think he's very talented. He has not turned himself into, in year 3 now, a top 10 quarterback. I mean, he's just not there yet. And maybe he'll get there eventually, but he's not. So you have the opportunity to do it. If you were to pass on it, even if you land with a great receiver like Marvin Harrison or a great tackle, you would be kicking yourself for decades if one of these guys did turn into the franchise quarterback you think he might be.
Yeah, you don't want to be drafting Sam Bowie. You can draft Elijah Wan. Do folks know that reference?
That would be acceptable. I would hope they do, but maybe our audience, I think, it's getting younger by the day, Tom. So
very astute. Michael Jordan taken 3rd in the NBA draft behind Sam Bowie and Hakeem Olajuwon, who was Akeem at the time.
Yeah, no H, right? Just A.
No H. Yep.
E-E-M.
And when he was at Houston, he had just Akeem across the back of his jersey.
Oh, I didn't know that. I love that.
Yeah, pretty cool. But let me ask you this. There's a level of emotional maturity that a quarterback has to have if he is drafted number 1. And I'm not even referring to Caleb Williams' meltdown in the stands. Because if you're on a shit-ass team and you come into the league and you're going to get pummeled and go 3-14 perhaps, as Peyton Manning did in 3-13 and setting a record for interceptions, or being Trevor Lawrence and being in a situation where Urban Meyer was authoring one of the worst recent seasons we've seen, or being Andrew Luck with the Colts, there is a level of emotional maturity that you need if you're going to be inserted immediately to a shit team with no blocking and no wide receivers. So that being the case, I make the argument that if you don't feel comfortable with the emotional maturity level of those players to withstand the adversity they're going to see on every level, on the field, with the pressure, being told you suck, getting yelled at, all of it, moving to a new place. If you don't have that, you have 2 choices if you're the Patriots. You take them anyway, and you keep Mac Jones. You don't get rid of Mac Jones so that the new guy can sit and watch a pretty smart, fairly talented guy who's a lame duck and might be a pain in the ass, but you keep Mac Jones. Or you trade down, or you take Marvin Harrison. Or if you're 1 or 2, you can absolutely trade down and get a bounty. because everybody's going to want Caleb Williams. So you can still get Marvin Harrison. Who in the top 5 will want a quarterback?
I mean,
Giants just signed a guy.
yeah,
Vegas.
Giants-
Vegas is 5-5.
The Giants have to be in quarterback too. Sorry, Daniel Jones. That's not a long-term contract that you can't get out of. That's maybe you got to keep him one more year for sure, and then you're willing to take your lumps. You got to know Daniel Jones.
This is a good pod. This is a lot of meat on this pod, Phil. This emotional maturity thing is a really good story.
It is, and I like where your head is at there, and it's part of the reason why, at least initially, Tom. And I can't wait to really dig deeper and do all the reporting that we always do on the draft and find out more about these guys and what the Patriots might like or not like about them. It's why I lean Drake May, and it's not because of the crying in the stands and his mother's arms thing, but he's been on a worse team. He's dealt with bad offensive lines consistently. He's had to be the guy. He's had to carry them, not that Caleb Williams hasn't.
But look at Mac.
He has a different level of talent. He's got a different kind of offense, which I think might actually make his evaluation a little bit tougher. I think it might be hard to kind of project. Okay, what can he do with his play style in this offense when he gets to the NFL? And so, listen, both are amazingly physically gifted. I just like the fact that May has been in the situations he's been in. And that, to me, might be indicative of him being able to handle the types of pressures you're talking about when he gets to the league.
And I think that Caleb Williams is certainly better than Drake May. I like his game better. I love the height, 6'5", 220 are the measurements on Drake May. Caleb's, I think, 6'1", 220, 225, a little more solidly built. Both are about equal in terms of foot speed, which is good, not great. 4'6". Caleb's more of a power scrambler. Drake May is more of an elusive scramble to throw, but he's actually got some shimmy. Both have absolute rockets. You're going to see more off-schedule throws from Caleb Williams. You're going to see way more off-platform throws from Drake May, who is just enamored with scrambling around out of the pocket and throwing weird shit, which I don't love.
Hey, hold on.
Caleb is too, yeah.
Caleb Williams loves to do it himself. You see him
but he
up
stays in the
throw
pocket.
back across the field, 20 yards down the field.
But the stuff I've seen with Caleb Williams is he is scrambling and returns to the pocket, returns to the middle of the field. On a lot of them, I'm sure that people could say, oh, look at this one. I know he's falling out of bounds. He's throwing it 45 yards down the field. But Drake May seems conditioned to run and scramble. All that said, who cares how they play? That's not germane to today's conversation. I had a point. I've lost it. Oh,
well, Tom,
the point about Mac, though, but Mac was in a beautiful nest that he grew up in. And then he got here and it got bad and it's been bad. Caleb Williams has been in a nice nest. Do you want the guy who's had more adversity?
Yeah, I want the guy who's fallen out of the nest and had to figure it out. And that's been Drake May, it seems. And now, listen, Caleb Williams has been the quarterback of a team that's had just a horrid defense. And so there's been a lot on his shoulders too. Okay, we got to go out and score 48 to win this one, I guess. All right, here goes nothing. So I like that part of it too. And again, I'd be happy with either one. I think unfortunately for them, Tom, you got some other bad teams in this league, and you have some other bad teams who have a lot of draft capital who could blow somebody away for the number 1 overall pick. And all of a sudden you're leapfrogged by two teams that are in desperate need of quarterbacks, and you don't have a chance to take either one. And that was part of the discussion that I liked there with Mike too. Like, he loves Michael Penix, but there's some injuries there. He's a little bit of an older player. And so for him, he wouldn't necessarily leap at the opportunity to draft Michael Penix, the Washington quarterback, number 3 overall. He would rather take Marvin Harrison, the sure thing, quote unquote, sure thing, at receiver, and then wait for the second round and take one of these quarterbacks who's fallen in what looks like a pretty deep quarterback class. I like that plan too, quite frankly.
Why does age matter when we're talking about kids who are 24 or 25, and if they have an 8-year career, they're 33. And as we all understand, 33 ain't what it used to be. Why does age matter to these guys?
I think it gives you a little bit of a taste of the fact that their ceiling is unknown if they're a little younger, right? If you have a 20-year-old who plays like Caleb Williams and you have a 25-year-old who plays like Caleb Williams, the 25-year-old probably is who he is more so than the 20. And so it just I think it's just a ceiling thing and it's a projection thing. Well, he's got time to figure this stuff out. And just
Yeah.
with a little bit of maturity as a human being, he'll be able to do X, Y, and Z a little bit better as a pro.
So it's like door number 2 and let's make a deal. What
I mean,
we
it's
don't
part
know
of the
what's
reason
there.
why Christian Gonzalez is so enticing as a 20-year-old corner coming into the league. Like, think about just physically, mentally, emotionally, how much better he's going to be by the end of his rookie contract. And he's already really good, it looks like.
Let me roll off a few teams who might be quarterback hungry or definitely will be. Arizona, no. Giants, I would say probably not.
Arizona, maybe.
Could be.
Hold on.
Arizona, Atlanta, Washington. All of those are teams that are outside the playoff picture in the National Football Conference. And in the AFC, Vegas, I think the Jets still would be, but they're 4-5. Denver has to be. Patriots. And that's really it. So there's about 8 teams, though. Buffalo probably now at this point.
Oh, that's not true. That's not true. The Browns, they paid Deshaun Watson, but gosh, I don't know.
Browns.
They're not going to be high first round. They're just married to him for the foreseeable future.
So, but if the Patriots want to draft third and take a tackle or even hold the second pick and parachute out and pick up the 4th overall pick, the 15th overall pick, and then draft early in the second round, take Jaden Daniels or Penix or Bo Nix, is that conceivable? And we're going to get way more into, as you guys already know. And I hope this hasn't been too conversational, this pod. It's been a little less structured, and I apologize if you guys are like, what the hell? These guys are just shooting the shit. I could sit there in my living room and listen to this.
Some people might like to do that. Throw us on the television. That's a possibility. You get a smart TV, get us up there.
Thank you.
Let's go.
But is there some merit there with the Knicks, Penix? And Penix has a tough autocorrect when you type his name, or Daniels.
I think Penix and maybe even Knicks would be, if you're in that mode where you want to wait till the second round, I think there's a chance both those guys are gone. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Although we got a long way to go. I would look at Daniels and say, if you're really open to factoring in the quarterback run game as a huge piece of what you're going to do, he looks like a next level athlete, Tom. And I'm basing this largely on the performance we just saw from him against Florida, but he's running around a field loaded with SEC athletes. And he looks like the fastest guy out there. And that's with a playing style where it appears as though he is not always looking to break the pocket. So he doesn't have to be a quarterback run game player. He likes to play from the pocket. He's another guy who's spent a lot of time in college. He was at Arizona State. Now he's at LSU. But he'll go through full field progressions and he'll be willing to stand in and take a shot to try to make a play deep down the field. I think he's been a little inconsistent as a passer, which is why he's not necessarily like a lock first round pick.
Mm-hmm.
He also has some of the best receivers in the country on his team. And so there might be teams who say, well, yeah, I mean, our 4th string guy could throw for 350 a game too, if he had the receivers that they have there down in LSU. But I really like just his athleticism, Tom. Again, the quarterback scrambles on third down, the ability just to get out of a sack, even if it's just to throw it away. These are game-changing plays where I'm willing to take some inconsistency as a passer to pick up that other stuff. And he brings that other stuff in spades.
6'4", 210 right now. Also looks like AC Green. Bears a resemblance to AC Green, former Los Angeles Lakers great.
Iron Man.
Yeah. Also would put a Beanie Baby on his head while on the bench to celebrate his celibacy, which he has since fallen away from, allegedly.
What?
I got to check that. I don't know if he's fallen away from it. It might be a bad rumor. I'm not spreading that rumor. AGA, AC Green, banging. All right. Cut that or don't cut it. I don't care.
I completely forgot about the Beanie Baby thing, I guess. I don't know how I missed that.
I don't know. It's like one of the first things I thought of was him with that green Beanie Baby. And he's sitting on the bench like this. Do you remember it now?
I'm looking at pictures of it now. I don't remember this at all, but this is amazing. Was the Beanie Baby specifically made for people who were celibate? It looks like it's an Irish, like Luck of the Irish Green Shamrock thing that's on there. I guess just because his last name is Green, that's what he's going with, huh? How is that related to the celibacy thing at all?
I don't know. Maybe I made the whole thing up. I think I'm right though. Does it say, did you do AC Green celibate?
Well, I remember that he was. I don't know. I haven't found anything that ties the Beanie Baby to the celibacy just yet. There's some great pictures of this. He's trying to give it to Shaq at some point. Shaq saying no, thank you. I don't think Shaq was.
Oh, look at that thing. He chose to be a virgin because he was a religious man. He didn't believe in sex before marriage. It's fine. Who cares? That's great. No, I mean, that's great. Not who cares. Why does AC Green wear a Beanie Baby on his head? He has been married and he does have a child. Oh yeah, stuffed animal celibacy came up. Yeah, a stuffed toy bear called AC, which in this case stands for abstinence committed. In fact, Green began sitting with the bear on the Lakers bench last year during a Christmas Day game. So yeah, good for him.
Yeah,
great. If you believe in nothing, you'll fall for anything. And I believed in the Patriots this year, going 10-7.
Isn't it stand? You stand for nothing, you fall for anything. I don't know. Anyway,
yeah, stand. It was stand.
Hopefully his family's doing great. He's got to have a million of those green Beanie Babies lying around.
Jaden Daniels bears a subtle resemblance to AC Green. Is how we got there. 6'4", 220, went to Arizona State. He's 22 years old. He is a Jet, not a New York Jet. He moves. He really moves. And he is your best dual threat quarterback. So there's five of them right now. So the Patriots will have options. What we will be seeking as the bye week approaches is some closure on whether or not we will see Mac Jones out there and conclusions drawn if we do. Have they bailed on the season or are they trying hard? You could spin it either way. Phil, last word.
Appreciate you.